Hello everybody, SlickFrame James here, back with a brand new interview. Today we're going to be talking to Steve, A.K.A. HyperVoiceActing. His character Toad recently made his first appearance on Ask Mario, and he's also working on the artwork for Toadette, who hasn't made her first appearance yet, but she will at some point. I figured now would be a good time to do an interview. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing fairly well. At the time of recording, I just had lunch not long ago, and just combing over some of my old games that I might be selling soon. Well, I say might be because I don't know when this video will be up. They might all have already been sold by the time it gets up, for all I know.
Well, which games are you gonna sell?
Mostly some of my old GameCube, PS2 games. Basically games that are on consoles that I either don't play too often anymore, or are on consoles that I don't have a means of recording for either my channel or other people's channels.
Let's see, to get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Steve? Where are you from, and what was your childhood like? Have you been drawing ever since you were a little kid?
Roughly, yeah. I think I might have been, into art ever since I was, 3. I kind of was very on and off about it to a slight degree. Sometimes I would, draw it just out of a sense of passion, sometimes just out of a sense of, I just want to do it just because I'm bored. I've always had, an interest in just, art or animation in general. Not to the point of being an animator, because that's a little bit too tedious for my liking, but just drawing and designing characters is definitely something that I've had a fondness of, especially, in recent years, where I've started, doing it more wholesale as a career. The only other thing that I know I've been, really into growing up, aside from art, is voice work.
Ah, yes you are. You wanna... do you want to share your Wario voice real quick?
Why do you want to know about my Wario voice? I didn't invite you into my house. Get on out of here.
Oh, mamma mia. I'm so sick of this guy. Oh.
Well, that makes two of us, fatty.
Yeah, I love your Wario voice. It's probably my favorite. What other voices can you do?
Well, let me see. If we're talking strictly from Mario, Wario, as you already heard, that's definitely one of my more popular voices.
Alongside Bowser.
And Mario, which is one that... Mario was a voice that for the longest time I felt a little, for lack of a better word, insecure about, because growing up I've had a lot of people tell me that they weren't too keen on it, or this person can do Mario a lot better than you. It wasn't until, these last couple of years where I started to get more support for it and start to be a little bit more confident in my Mario. And, aside from him, Bowser, Wario, the only other voice I have is Luigi, which you've probably heard in the Meet the Marios video that we uploaded not long ago. He's another one of my more popular impressions over the years.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Monica absolutely loves your Luigi voice. Especially you did a really good job as Luigi in the Pranksters remake dub we did not too long ago.
Yeah, that one was really fun to record for.
Yes, it was. It really was. So where are you from? And what was your childhood like?
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. I skipped over that. I'm from Tennessee. Childhood-wise, I can't say I can complain too much. I've lived with my folks for a good majority of my life. I technically still do. And yeah, it's been fairly decent childhood. I can't think of, any particularly troubling elements. Actually, yeah, I can't really think of anything, particularly troubling that I've had to go through growing up.
So good childhood. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then. So what software do you use for your art?
I use Paint Tool Sci, specifically a version that my friend, Allie, A.K.A. Earthquake, gifted to me some time ago. Before that, I used, Autodesk Sketchbook, which, that was fine for a while, but I think I kind of am a little bit more partial towards Sci, just because it felt like I had more options. I know at some point in the future, I've thought about, giving Clip Studio a chance, because that's something that a lot of my other artist friends use, and they've had, nothing but glowing things to say about it. But I'm not in a big hurry to, switch just yet.
Okay. Yeah, I know Monica uses, A.K.A. Nintendrawer, she uses Paint Tool Sci. And Jason, I can't remember what Jason... Oh, no, I think Jason uses Clip Studio, doesn't he?
I think he does.
Yeah, pretty sure he does. Yeah, I've heard good things about Clip Studio Paint. So then, what was your first video game? And if it wasn't a Nintendo game, what was your first Nintendo game?
That's gonna be interesting, because, when it comes to, my very, very early years of gaming, some of them do kind of, bleed in here and there. But I think the earliest I can recall me getting into gaming was my dad got me a Sega Genesis when I was really young, and the games I remember for that were the Sonic games, obviously. Specifically, Spinball and 3D Blast. Aside from that, it was largely just a bunch of, licensed games, like Mickey Mania for the Sega Genesis, which was... It's fun, but also very brutal in many ways. I think the first Nintendo game I've ever really played was Super Mario World when I was over at my cousin's house.
Oh, not bad. That's a good one. So what has it been like drawing Toad for Ask Mario? Have there been any challenges or anything particularly fun that you want to bring up?
Toad, definitely, from what I can gather, he seems like he was probably one of the easier characters that I've had to draw for people, considering that, Toad in and of himself is a very simplistic design. I think the only thing that kind of, took me getting used to was the fact that drawing Toad wasn't a big issue. It did take a few tries to try to match Monica's style as best as I could. The thing that took me a bit of getting used to was the fact that I had to make the portraits really big, because that's usually how James usually has the portraits, and I'm not used to drawing on canvases that large, so that took a little bit of adjusting too.
Yeah, and what about when I eventually started to ask you to draw Toadette, what was that, I imagine that wasn't too hard, right? Because she's essentially just the same character model, just a different color and a few changes.
Yeah, I think the only big things that I wanted to keep in mind when I was working on Toadette was, obviously making sure, the pigtails were good in all the portraits, because, I feel like there are probably some where I might have had them a bit too stiff, but I haven't gotten any complaints from the other artists about that, so maybe that's just my paranoia talking. The only other thing that I know I want to do is that, even though they're, very similar characters in terms of, design and anatomy, I wanted to avoid making them look too samey, having, a lot of the same gestures. I didn't want it to be just, oh, these are just my Toad portraits, but pink and with pigtails. I tried my best to really... diversify their poses to make them seem like different characters, and trying to think of different ways to diversify them from each other was pretty fun.
Yeah, what the viewers are probably watching right now, they're looking at speed art of their cute emotes with the hearts where their eyes are. I mean, their poses there look pretty similar, but you guys will eventually see. There are definitely some differences in their poses, and yeah, I really appreciate that, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably... maybe one of the most, I don't know if challenging is the right word, but maybe irritating part of it was when I asked you to start drawing different eye positions for the characters.
Yeah, I think the only reason that was a little bit more difficult than we were expecting was the fact that, since the Toads have, just the little dot eyes, when it came to, figuring out, the different positioning for them across their head, it was really weird to, make them, shift around, particularly when they're, looking to, the very far left or the very far right. We had to do, a little bit of squishing to, give off that impression of, they were looking in that direction. And on top of, certain eye angles where it's, just the regular shape wouldn't cut any slack. I know we did have to ask Monica for, advice on, how to make some of these particular eye emotes work well with this style.
Yeah, I mean, I was stumped too. I'm not the artistic expert here at all. So yeah, I was also oh, how do we do this? But you know what? I think the final product with the eyes, I think they turned out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, which Mario game is your favorite?
That really kind of depends on, the particular type of Mario you're asking me. If we're talking strictly the platformers, I'd honestly have to say I go back and forth between either Mario 3D World or Mario Odyssey. In the case of 3D World, especially the Switch port, because, I never knew how much I wanted to have, a online multiplayer platforming Mario game until that came out, and that was a lot of fun going through with friends. As far as, Mario RPGs, I definitely love Bowser's Inside Story. I did have my fun with Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I will say, though, not because of the game itself, but because of, something surrounding it, I kind of find myself enjoying it less and less as time goes by, but I still acknowledge it as being, a really well-made game.
Oh, you mean, all the fans arguing over the internet? Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun. Not fun. But what about, since we're talking about the Toad characters right now, what do you think of the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker game?
I will say, right off the bat, I've never played them myself, but from what I have seen from, like, some of my friends playing it and whatnot, they seem like really cute, like, puzzle games. Like, I definitely appreciate them existing for the purpose of, like, adding a lot of, like, variety to, like, the Mario franchise, so that it's not just platforming or sports or RPGs and whatnot. Like, aside from, like, some of the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games, I don't think we've ever had any particularly dedicated puzzle games for the Mario series, and I think Captain Toad does help fit that fairly well.
I think Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is an okay game. I remember I got it for Christmas back when it was released on the Wii U, and it didn't do a whole lot for me, but I did enjoy the Captain Toad missions in Super Mario 3D World. For me, that was a really fun side mode.
Yeah, they were pretty good in those.
So, which Toad racetrack in Mario Kart would you say is your favorite?
That, I think, might be a little bit difficult to me to say, because, like, even though I do enjoy Mario Kart, I don't play it too often, and I don't really commit a lot of the Toad-centric tracks to memory, let alone a lot of the other tracks to memory. So, I'd have to say, what was the one that was on the Wii with the bouncing mushrooms that came back in Mario Kart 8?
Mushroom Gorge?
Right, like, I remember enjoying that one plenty in Wii. Like, I don't know if that necessarily counts as a Toad track, but, you know, there's mushrooms, and Toad himself's a mushroom, so I'd say it's close enough.
Yeah, have you ever thought about, like, what would it be like the human equivalent of that? That would be, like, if we made a racetrack, and instead of mushrooms, they were, like, big, fleshy platforms made of human flesh.
That sounds like something obvious. That sounds like something that they would do in a Twisted Metal revival.
Okay. This is why you don't always want to think too hard about the logic in Mario games.
Not necessarily, no.
I say probably mine would probably be, let's see, maybe the Toad's Turnpike remake they did in Mario Kart 8, and then Toad's Factory for the Wii. That one wasn't half bad.
Yeah.
So what about, what do you think about Toad's voice? I know some people probably prefer how he used to sound back in Mario Kart 64. Some people find his raspy modern voice, and Toadette's voice too, to be kind of irritating. What do you think?
I'll say, like, in terms of, like, preferring one over the other, I personally don't have, like, a particular preference. Like, I totally get why people prefer the Kart 64 voice, since it's a lot easier on the ears. That being said, there is a part of me that does kind of, like, appreciate how, for lack of a better word, distinct Toad's voice is now, because, like, yeah, I get that it's very annoying and how, like, very squawky or squeaky it is. At the same time, though, there is something about it that does kind of fit Toad to a degree, and plus it is a lot of fun to, like, you know, make memes with the voice and whatnot. And it's also surprisingly fun to use as well, so I don't really have any particular issue with them using the voice now. Like I said, I don't know if I prefer one voice over the other, it's just both of them are equally Toad for me.
Yeah, Toad's voice doesn't bother me too much, but I get why it might bother some people. Yeah, can you do a Toad voice at all?
Well, I suppose I could. I can kind of voice Toad, but there's a reason I hired Jesse to voice him instead of me. Yeah, it's one of those voices where it seems fine at first, but after you apply it to several long hours of conversation, it starts to lose its luster, which makes me very curious as to how you're exactly gonna translate this into a Q&A series.
Yeah, Jesse's probably gonna... He might hate me by the end of the first episode he's in. I might need to pay for, like, voice box surgery or something. I don't know, we'll see.
Honestly, like, I feel like it probably is an instance of, like, as long as I get a paycheck, I don't care.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't do any long-term damage to his throat or anything. I tell that to Tyler Foltz, the guy who voices Bowser, because voicing Bowser is kind of hard too, for the opposite reason. His voice goes really deep and really raspy.
Right.
All right, next question. Are llamas camels or sheep?
I don't entirely see the relevance, but I'm going to assume they lean closer to the sheep demographic.
You don't see the relevance?
I might need a bit to figure that out myself. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're a weirdo. Just kidding. Anyways, next question. So, do you have any Nintendo merchandise? Like, do you have any amiibo?
I do not have any amiibo. I don't know how, like, controversial a statement this is sound, but I've never particularly cared for amiibo all that much. Like, I appreciate them existing as merchandise, but I never was one to like hunt down as many amiibo as I can. Like as of this recording this, I don't really have any amiibo, period. As far as merchandising goes, I do have a handful of like little Mario trinkets here and there. Like I have like these smaller figurines that are like about the size of my palm of like Fire Mario, Wario, DK, Diddy. And I know Waluigi's here somewhere, I just don't know where he's at. Like, I think I didn't even take him out of the box when I got all of them.
He's just that precious to you? Is that what it is?
Nah, I just didn't care to unwrap him.
Oh. And the opposite.
Yeah, essentially. And I know I have, like, 2 bigger figurines of, like, Mario and Bowser. Like, the Mario one's about, like, as big as my hand, and then the Bowser one is, like, quite a bit bigger than that, and he has, like, a little bomb that it came with him.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. All right, so next question. What are some of your favorite franchises? Do you have any favorite books, TV shows, movies? Are you a part of any fandoms?
Well, aside from Mario, I know other fandoms that... Well, not fandoms. I know other franchises that I do like are, let me see, Sonic, Ninja Turtles, Rayman, Crash Bandicoot, Kirby, Marvel, DC. A bunch of them that I'm having a hard time remembering at the moment. But yeah, those are usually the franchises I like to go to. As far as the fandoms themselves go, I'm a little bit more selective on how deeply I partake in them. Mostly just because, you know, as you would probably imagine, like, interacting with fandoms can be a bit of a risky gamble. Like, you either end up interacting with the part of the fandom that's a lot more, you know, sane and rational, accepting, or you interact with the parts of the fandom that are not quite so sane, rational, or understanding.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah. I do appreciate that you're a Rayman fan. I do wish more people played the Rayman games because they're so fantastic.
Yeah, I know recently me and my friend Doug got another one of my friends Sam into the Rayman franchise. Like, she was playing Rayman 2 not that long ago. I don't know how far she is into it, but I know she has been loving it.
I know your friend James Man Reggie, or James Man Extreme. Mm-hmm. How do you? Yeah, some of you might recognize him. I did an interview with him when he was done with the artwork for Donkey Kong on Ask Mario. I know you and him are good friends, and you do Let's Plays together, don't you?
Yeah, we mostly do, like, commentary videos over on his channel, like him, me, and a bunch of our other friends. As of late, we've mostly been focusing on doing, like, live videos. Like, not live as in streaming, but live as in, like, we actually, like, commentate as we go through the game, as opposed to it being like, oh, we record the footage first and commentate over that second.
Yeah, do you guys have any upcoming games that you want to advertise here?
There are a few that we're currently working on. I don't know how he would feel about me, like, saying them out loud, but I can guarantee there are a handful of them that I think you guys will definitely get a kick out of.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, so which of your drawings are your favorite? Do you have any Nintendo drawings that you'd like to share? I have your DeviantArt page open right now, and I'm going to be looking at it, but I just want to say... I could be biased in this, but one of my favorite drawings you've done is the drawing you did of me and your clown character, Play-Doh.
Oh, are you saying that because that's probably the closest you'll get to getting a woman's kiss, huh?
Oh, but roasted!
Yeah. But yeah, I do have a few favorites that I can share. One that is a little bit on the oldish side, but I still think is really funny, is this one Bowser and Jr. one that I did. It was right around the time that the God of War reboot, I think it's a reboot, I keep hearing, like, conflicting things about it. Around the time that God of War, like, game came out, I did this drawing of Bowser and Jr. as Kratos and his son. Like, as far as, like, some of my more recent drawings go, I do have a number of them that I do enjoy. Like, I love how they came out. Most of them are related to a original series that me and my friend are working on. One that I did recently, mostly just because I was on a bit of a Warner Brothers kick, was this drawing that I did of the Animaniacs that I thought turned out really good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I guess the only other, like, Nintendo one that I did that I'm still really proud of, I wouldn't mind going back to it eventually, but one that I'm really proud of was my concept for this redesign for Zelda, part of, like, this Zelda story that I've been wanting to do for a while now. I've just been putting it off for other things, but I still really like how I did Zelda here, and don't mind the chic design there. She's technically not part of the story, but that was just me trying to, see how she would look in this AU just for kicks.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know you've done some alternate universe drawings with some of your own original characters. The series that you work on is called Tales of Annualia. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you got it right.
I was wondering if it was Annualia or Annualia.
Nah, that's fine. Like, I think either of those are close enough to where it'll be fine.
Yeah, do you want to tell us about Snowball and Venus and Plato and any of your other characters?
First off, I'll say Tales of Annualia. It's a series that I'm co-creating with my friend Jordan, a.K.A. Jordan Scarzfava. Some people might recognize her as Jordan the Cat 11. Basically, it's a fantasy series that takes place in this mystical world called Annualia, and it's split into 4 different sections, each one represented by a different season, like winter, spring, summer, fall, so on and so forth. And I've been helping Jordan write out a bunch of stories for it, as well as creating characters for it. A handful of the characters that I made for Tales of Annualia are actually characters that I made for that series. One of them, which is, at the moment, probably one of my most popular characters, which I'm still really grateful for, is Snowball. She is a snow woman that lives in the winter section of Annualia called Evergreen Town. It's an entire village filled with all these snow people that, they kind of act like they're from, like, the 1800s. Like, think Little House on the Prairie, but it's all populated by snowmen.
Yeah, and I know she's like the sweetest person in the village, and she's kind of surrounded by other people who are very prickly.
Yeah, well, I would say she's definitely the sweetest. So as far as, like, prickly people go, the only people in Evergreen Town that are particularly, like, nasty are her brother and sister, Bally and Flaky. Everyone else in Evergreen Town is perfectly fine, but, like, Snowball is definitely, like, the most cheery and optimistic of all of them. She's just basically meant to be, like, just a good vibes kind of comfort character for a lot of people, because, like, the whole philosophy that Snowball tries to, imbue whenever she interacts with people is that she is of the belief that everybody deserves love, whether they believe they deserve it or not.
Yeah, that's very sweet. I definitely get the appeal of the character. She seems like the kind of character who doesn't believe that 2 wrongs make her right. She's totally a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. As far as, like, other characters go, I guess the one that the one that Slick mentioned earlier, Plato, she's another character of mine that I'm really proud of. She is a clown that has elasticity powers, and she's part of a traveling group of clowns called the Mary Andrews. And she is essentially, like, just this very bubbly, very friendly, a little bit kooky. Basically, she is of the opinion that, like, life is basically a joke, and she wants to help people just, learn how to take a joke. Not necessarily in the case of, like, being really mean. Like, she usually draws the line at, like, very mean-spirited jokes. But at the same token, though, she's not one that takes, like, a lot of things that seriously.
Okay, to me, she almost looks like a character who could belong in, I don't know, ARMS or Splatoon. Like, I think it's the color scheme.
Yeah, that could be it. Like it definitely took me a couple of tries to figure out, like, what kind of color scheme I wanted. Like, I know I definitely wanted a Harley Quinn look, but I didn't want to go with, like, colors that are usually associated with Harley Quinns, red, black, blue, and so on and so forth. So I kind of settled with, orange and purple, because I felt like they made, like, really nice contrasts to each other.
Yeah, I think so. Are there any other projects that you're working on at the moment? I guess the better question to ask is, what aren't you working on at the moment? You're a very busy guy.
Well, I mean, like, I usually help out wherever I can. As far as, like, other projects I'm working on, one that I'm currently working on, like, at the time of recording, I've been getting back to work on drawing portraits for it, is I have my own Ask series that I'm hosting along with my friends Sam and Doug called Ask Crash Bandicoot. We did a teaser for it a few months ago, and just the other day, I did an art stream where I was working on one of Coco's emotes. I'm hoping I can be able to get the first episode of that done before the end of the year. I can't make any promises, but that's what I'm personally shooting for. Aside from that, I know that there's another Ask series that I'm helping out with called Ask the Smashcast. At the moment, it's kind of gone on a bit of a pause, mostly just because all the other staff have just been, like, really accumulated with a bunch of other projects. Like for example, like, I would work on it, but I have, like, a bunch of other things I need to work on as well. But for people that do want to see that, we are hosting it on a separate channel called Primid Productions, which that's where all future videos of Ask the Smashcast are going to be hosted. I want to clarify that because I've had a few people come up to me and Joe wondering where we were moving the videos. So if you want to see Smashcast, go to Primid Productions.
Okay, sure. I'll definitely link that for you. Almost done here. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
The most I can really say is that don't let yourself be your worst critic. Like, definitely be open to criticism, because, you know, that'll definitely help you out. Do not take the criticism, like, too personally, and even if you feel like you could do better, just do better. Like, don't let your insecurities or your doubts keep you from doing art if you really have a passion for it. Like, you're not gonna get it on your first try. It's definitely gonna take some time, but when you do see the improvement, that's when you know that, you know, things will get better. All you have to do is just keep doing your best, make sure you still have your passion for it intact, and don't be afraid to take breaks. Like, if you feel like that your drive's not there, but you really want to put something out, don't be afraid to take some time to, you know, like, take your mind off things, or come back to it when you feel like you're more prepared for it. Because I feel like that's something a lot of artists don't really take into account, where it's like, you know, they feel like they want to draw as much as they can, and I've definitely felt that way as well, but you sometimes don't quite have that push or drive to do it yet. I would say, like, if that happens, just take some time away to, like, you know, unwind, or just find something that'll help get you that spark back. Like, don't feel bad if you don't have that artistic spark all the time. That's completely normal to do.
Yeah, artist block is not fun. Yeah, no, that's some pretty good advice, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, so, yeah, I guess this is the end of the interview. Thank you for your time, Steve. So, where can people find you?
I think the place most people know me for is my YouTube account. It's called HyperVoiceActing, mostly just because I forgot to put the R in there. But yeah, my YouTube channel is mostly where a lot of my content goes. I usually do voiceover stuff, whether it be comic dubs or some of my original content. That's where we have like a few of the Tales of Annualia stuff posted. The rest of it's on Jordan's own channel. I also have a DeviantArt account, which is where I host a lot of my art, and I am also taking art commissions for people that want to, you know, if you liked what you saw of Toad and like any other art that you see, I am available for commissions. You just have to DM me either on DeviantArt or Twitter, and I'll try to get to you as soon as I can.
All right, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining, Steve.
Okay, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, dude. Awesome. You did an awesome job on Toad and Toadette, and I look forward to seeing even more artwork from you that'll be on Ask Mario.
And I'm definitely looking forward to like seeing more of it, like not even just my own art, but just more of Ask Mario in general, because it's like, I guess just like one bit of like info. Part of the reason why I joined Ask Mario is because my friend James Man, like we mentioned, the guy that drew Donkey Kong, he knew that I was kind of low on funds for a while, so he like suggested to Slick that I join them as an artist. And James, if you're watching, I'm very thankful for that, by the way. And like, ever since working on art for it, I've also been taking the time to go back and watching a bunch of the previous episodes, and I definitely have been enjoying how you guys have been, like, interpreting, like, Mario and his crew, and especially, like, the more recent stuff, like, when you did the whole, like, Season 1 recap with the princesses, and now we have, like, and now that we have, like, you know, the newer stuff coming out with, like, the new stage, Toad and whatnot, like, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how much you guys are gonna, you know, improve on the show and where you go from here. And of course, I'm also looking forward to working more on Meet Some Marios with you guys.
Yeah, indeed, definitely. We still have a lot to do for the next several episodes, and yeah, I too look forward to seeing how everybody reacts to them. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's the end of the interview. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you'd like to see more interviews, go ahead and check my channel for more interviews with the other artists. Look forward to Toad and Toadette coming to Ask Mario sometime in the future.